Welcome to Community Church Unitarian Universalist. I'm your worship associate, Reverend Jacqueline Lloyd, and it is a joy to be with you today. Community Church is a progressive, open-minded, and inclusive religious community. We welcome all who are on a spiritual search for truth and meaning. Ours is a faith in action, as we do the work of social justice and elevate compassion in our quest to live ethically, recognizing the inherent worth and dignity of every being. Please look to your weekly email for announcements. We are delighted today to welcome Kahlida Lloyd to our pulpit. We recognize Kahlida Lloyd, one, because she's already been here and spoken to us several times, and we really appreciate her, but also because she was involved with Together New Orleans, which we as a congregation are also involved. She now is the new director of the Mayor's Office of Human Rights and Equity. Sounds like a Unitarian Universalist position to me. So we're very happy to have her here with us today. Would you please open your hymnal to the back, or turn your order of service to the back, and read with me the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge and pay tribute to the original inhabitants of this land. The city of New Orleans is a continuation of an indigenous trade route on the Mississippi River, known for thousands of years as Wabancha. Tribes that lived on this island include the Kahlida, the Natchez, the Choctaw, the Chippewa, Puma, the Tunica, the Biloxi, the Takama, the Bishop, among others. We recognize that as a result of broken treaties and involuntary removals, Native Americans were often forced from their lands. We remember and pay respect to the communities impacted by those actions. Native peoples have lived on this land since time immemorial, and the resilient voices of Native Americans remain an inseparable part of the local culture. With gratitude and honor, we acknowledge the indigenous nations that have lived and continue to thrive here. We have several announcements. First, Michelle, you were going to make an announcement, I was told? You're going to make an announcement. Sorry. Emma.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So Social Justice would like you all to know that we are coordinating once again for December the giving tree for the family of Rosa Diaz. And so there's a tree out in the fellowship hall. Rosa Diaz is an immigrant to this country that has been supported by our church for several years, for anyone who isn't aware. So there's a tree out in the hall with some gift ideas, and if you could take one if you're able and bring back the gift by the morning of December 24th, so Christmas Eve is a Sunday, will be a morning service, so if you could bring any gifts back by the morning service of December 24th. Thank you.
That's always a beautiful thing that we do. I've been asked to announce also, Alan and I are going to offer a shared pulpit, or this is what's commonly called a sermon writing class. It's going to be on the second and fourth Saturdays, starting in January, probably not on the 2nd of January, but we'll start on the 4th and then go forward. So please let Alan or I know if you're interested. I understand we have quite a few, plus some that are going to attend with Zoom from other congregations. I also want to mention, as a member of the worship committee, that there are several really wonderful services coming, or my opinion, wonderful services coming up. Since I'm doing one of them. On the 17th, we're having a service, a new service called the Lights of Life. And it is a very diverse religious service interfaith, we'd say, religious service in which we celebrate the different lights of the faiths of this season, this holiday season. And I think you'll really enjoy it and find it very meaningful. And that's on the 17th, that Sunday. On the 24th, that Sunday morning, we've invited the worship committee has invited the congregation to share some of your personal Christmas stories or a Christmas thought or a poem that you've really enjoyed. We've had several people offer to do that. Michelle's the person to talk to if you'd like to do that. At this moment, I'm thinking I'll do something pretty funny, so it doesn't have to be Dee the movie. It can be a little more light, whatever you'd like to do, if you talk to Michelle. The night of the 24th, it is Christmas Eve after all, and so we are going to have two services, and I am conducting that service, and I've chosen to do a historical minister of our faith tradition, Reverend Theodore Parker's sermon. He calls it Two Christmas Celebrations. And I think you'll really enjoy it. Historically, it's fascinating to think about what people were thinking about in those days around Christmas. It was an 1855 Christmas celebration, so it's still very new and considered foreign, if you know what I mean. Anyway, and then we will close with the very moving Silent Night and the lighting of the candles. This will be at 5 o'clock, so you can move on and go to whatever it is that you do on Christmas Eve normally. We want to have refreshments. If you'd like to help me with that, I'd be so happy to have you join me. Jim has an announcement he'd like to make.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So if you like to sing Christmas carols and you want a ceasefire in Gaza, there is a ceasefire Christmas choir at Broadmoor Community Church this coming Tuesday, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. I'll post that in the fellowship hall. We can get the address, etc. if you want that. Also, on this day, in 256 countries throughout the world, people are lighting a candle in a moment of silence for peace. And we join that global community today when we light our candles. The final announcement is on this day, 46 years ago, Vera and I were married. We brought some pies, please, and the coffee hour, join in.
I read the words of Gary Kowalski, a colleague, for our call to worship. With faith to face our challenges, with love that casts out fear, with hope to trust tomorrow, we accept this day as the gift it is, a reason for rejoicing. Let us light the candle of peace and the chalice. We'll read the chalice lighting words in your order of service, and then why don't we have just a moment of, a few moments, a few seconds of quiet. Please join me.
Oh Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So as I promised, we were going to go through the Advent, UU Advent calendar. I'm going to start from the 4th through the 10th, so bear with me. On December 4th, 1873, the earmuff is invented. Lifelong Unitarian Chester Greenwood received the patent for his first earmuff when he was 15. His factory manufactured the new winter wear for over 60 years. However, Chester himself worked as a mechanic in a bike shop, and he opened using profits from his factory. Now, he was inspired on a cold day of ice skating. December 5th, 1857, Jingle Bells. The first performed at a Thanksgiving event by the Sunday school children from the Unitarian Church in Savannah, Georgia, who were led by the church music director and the song's composer, James Pierpont. Jingle Bells was published in 1857, but only gained widespread popularity after it was performed by Bing Crosby in 1934. December 6th, the modern look and lore of Santa Claus. Universalist Thomas Nast produced over 70 illustrations of Santa. It is from Nash that the world first learned of Santa's red suit, that he gets coal if you're naughty, and even that Santa, as a world citizen belonging to no single country, lives at the North Pole. And this is 1863. December 7th, 8 candles. Malvina Reynolds, this is 1970, was the 20th century Jewish Unitarian Universalist, a political activist, and a singer-songwriter, best known for her song, Little Boxes. She also appeared on 4 seasons of Sesame Street as Kate. In 1970, Reynolds recorded the Hanukkah song, 8 Candles, as it has since become a holiday favorite. December 8th, 1912. The first Christmas tree in the White House, a blue room. President William Howard Taft was a dedicated Unitarian. In 1912, Taft's daughter Helen arranged to have a Christmas tree in the White House Blue Room, the first of what has since become a tradition. Helen got her master's in history, and at 26 was made a dean, and soon after president of Minor Model College. December 9th, 1849. It came upon a midnight clear. It Came Upon a Midnight Clear was written by Unitarian minister Hamilton Sears while recovering from a nervous breakdown. The melancholy carol's conspicuous omission of any reference to Jesus and his birth was drawn criticism from the Orthodox Christians. Ironically, among Sears' Unitarian contemporaries, his theological ideas about Jesus was considered rather old-fashioned. And this is 1849. December 10th, today, Christmas scenes in Little Women. Unitarian Louise May Alcott wrote over a dozen Christmas-themed stories and poems in addition to the Christmas scene in Little Women. Her description of a holiday with the March family nurtured a growing sense of American nostalgia for a Christmas only newly imagined. And this is 1868. Isn't that incredible how much the Unitarians, the traditions that we hold dear. So, we will continue. So will you help me sing out the children to Ari?
joys and sorrows that we celebrate within our congregation, the personal joys and sorrows that are on your heart. If you're online, you may write your joys and sorrows in the comment section to be read aloud, hopefully. In person, you may write them on one of the cards being passed out by the greeters, or feel free to come up to the microphone and share your joys or sorrows. Please remain seated as we sing hymn number 95, There Is More Love Somewhere. Joy at seeing our dear friend Howard Milkey, who's in town today for the season.
Amen.
Yes. Scott. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble reading some of it. My girlfriend Linda's grandma is 95 and has advanced stomach cancer. She is at her home with family and and with hope that she can leave us in peace and comfort. Always. That's a prayer. from Maryland. Our dear Esther, who will be 101 on December the 13th, a member of our congregation. Yes, indeed. Is there anyone else that, Marianne?
Well, I want to give a shout out to Sean, who's looking very shocked. We had the budget discussion last week, and the main part of the budget is the pledge drive. And that doesn't happen without a lot of work from the stewardship committee, which Sean headed up this year. And I just wanted to say a little story about Sean. When he had only been a member for a short time, and he sent me an email and said, I want to be on the stewardship committee. And I wrote back and I said, are you serious? Do you know what we do? We ask people for money. And he said, yeah, I know that. And I said, okay. And anyway, he's taken over the job, and he did a great job last year. So thank you, Sean.
Is there another? We now light 2 more candles, one for the joys still bubbling up, and one for the sorrows that we cannot put to words. Know that we hold you in our hearts always. Thank you. Community Church Unitarian Universalist is a self-sustaining congregation. Members and friends' generosity, as we just said, help us do the sacred work of bringing justice, spirituality, and compassion to our community and beyond. You can give online at ccunola.org/stewardship, or a text at 504-370-2659 and text GIVE. And you can give in person this morning. That is your opportunity. It is our custom to give 50% of our plate to a cause that our social justice ministry supports. And I'm thinking it's the Second Harvest Food Bank. It wasn't.
In lieu of that, we're doing the giving tree for Rosa.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. In lieu of that, this month we are getting the gifts for Rosa, and so you are reminded to take a tag and buy a gift for Rosa's kids for Christmas. Let's see. The offertory is number 356. Will you seek in far off places? Stand as you are comfortable.
We'll see it twice.
Thank you.
this congregation and its mission in our congregation, its mission in our city. Reading this morning is Proverbs 17:22 from the English Standard Version. Oh, I'm sorry. Seems we had a little confusion. I didn't plan on doing the reading, so are you able to pull it up? Just give us a minute.
I'll have to say them both. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so I'm going to read from two versions. So Proverbs 17:22, a joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. And then in the Message versions, Proverbs 17:22, a cheerful disposition is good for your health. Gloom and doom leave you bone tired.
We'll now sing number 56, Bell in the High Tower. Kahlida has a reading, Spread the Joy, and then our Sunday message.
Good morning again.
Yes.
I'll read the poem first, and then I'll be before you. And so this is a poem that I found to just correlate. I appreciate in the passages here at CCUU and the Unitarian Universalist tradition that you can kind of pull things from different directions to add. And so this is a poem by Julia. I'm going to go with the New Orleans A Bear, but I don't really know. Spread the joy. I wished upon a star tonight, the one above my tree. It brought me so much joy, you see. It brought it all to me. So much joy flows through my veins, it almost spilling out. It's time to share this joy with others. This I have no doubt. If joy is given out to me through a wishing star, it must be meant for more than me, can't be bottled in a jar. Share it wide and share it tall. Share it tall. Let everyone feel it. Let's spread it like wildfire, bringing life and love with it. Spread the joy. And so, good morning once again, we're still in the morning. It is good to be with you again. I was with you in the beginning of this year, and I'm with you in the end of this year. I don't know about you, but I feel like 2023 has gone by very quickly.
Yes.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
I was on a meeting the other day and someone was like, they felt like 2023 had track shoes on. And I was like, that's a good analogy. But we are here. We are in the last month of the year. And for that, I'm grateful and I hope you are too. And so thank you again for our choir and Reverend Love for shepherding us to this moment right now. I like to have conversations, and so it's good to be in continued conversation with you all. Let us begin first with a word of prayer. Dear God, we thank you. We thank you for yet another day and an opportunity to be in your presence. We thank you, God, for this time of being able to fellowship with like-minded believers, to learn more about you, learn more about each other, and to grow deeply. We thank you for this season that we are in, and we thank you for this last month of 2023. Be with me now, Lord. Decrease me and increase your spirit. In your name, amen. All right, and so part of this season, if you will, is the Advent season. Advent is this opportunity to usher in this day that we call Christmas Day, right? It's 4 weeks prior to Christmas Day where we welcome the birth of Jesus Christ, right? What I learned in preparation for my time with you is, what does Advent really mean? We're going to make this interactive. What does Advent really mean? I feel like I might know from some of the things you did just before the service. Who knows what Advent means?
Something coming.
Something coming. That's good. Hope. What does Advent mean? One more. Quiet.
Prepare.
Prepare. Okay. All right. Good terms.
It's a part of adventure.
It's an adventure, that's for sure. Waiting. Okay. I like that. Advent means the arrival of a person. It also means the beginning of an event. And it also means the invention of something. And so during the children's time, she was talking about all these kind of different inventions and when things happen. And so Advent transcends in those different ways. But it's the arrival of a person, the beginning of an event, and the invention of something. And so with that definition, I feel like we can look at the Advent in our lives, right? What were the things that we began? What are the things that we may have created this year? And so I'm going to kind of do a little reflection, kind of personally, because I'm going to invite you to do the same, of what this year has meant. And I'm going to do it in the framework of Advent. And so in preparation for Advent, we have kind of 4 different themes and concepts: peace, hope, love, and joy. And my focus today will be joy, but I'm going to get there, if you will. And so as I was reflecting on this year, as the last month of the year is before us, I'm thinking, what has this, it's gone by quickly, but what has this year brought? And so as I started my first quarter, I get to begin my birthday at the beginning of the year. My birthday's in January. So every year I start my year, if you will, with another trip around the sun and celebrating that. But a couple months later, that joy was a little different. My friend passed away, a childhood friend, passed away from cancer. And she was in her mid-30s. And for me, it was unexpected. For others around her, it may not have been. She was diagnosed with breast cancer in her mid-20s and beat it for 10 plus years. Call me full of faith, call me head in the sand, I don't know what you want to call me, but I did not think she would die from this thing called cancer. It spread rapidly to her through the rest of her body, and it got very aggressive, and she passed away from it going in different parts of her body, the cancer. I asked a lot of questions. I wondered, why didn't she tell me she was dying? You know, why didn't she tell me that her days were a little shorter than I may have imagined? I questioned myself, well, why didn't I inquire more? You know, why didn't I pick up the phone and have a conversation? You know, our good old text messages of, you know, hey, how you doing? But not much can come through a text message if you don't ask and inquire. And so there was a lot of guilt and shame from my personal self around just knowing and the knowing of that. And so the peace of God really took force and truth in my life through the remainder of this year and even to this very moment of what I get to answer my whys about, right? So this peace that surpasses and transcends all understanding really took root in understanding where she was in her faith, where she was in her belief, and where this disease overtook that. And I questioned God, you know, what's the point of faith if it can't transcend this thing called health and cancer? And so there's a peace that's still upon me, but knowing that I have great memories of her, knowing that she was with us for the time that she was with us, knowing that there was joy in that, I'm thankful. But peace has been very much something I have clinged to. And I have recognized that health and the wellness and how sickness can come upon us is not an easy task to deal with. And so I hope that the peace of this season, if in the midst of that people are dealing with that it can transcend that understanding. As the year continued, the second quarter of my year, I had the privilege to travel to Costa Rica with my church members on a mission trip. I have a commitment to myself after my first mission trip to go on a mission trip every 2 years, where I get to serve, where I get to love, where I get to have a lot of joy, if you will. And this particular mission trip, we got to be builders, you know. I'm no builder by any means, but they said no skills were necessary. And I believe them. But we did really well. We were able to, you know, poverty is everywhere. And Costa Rica is no exemption from that. And so we were able to build walls, essentially, in the home of this family of 4. So brick by brick, they were kind of partitioning some walls and the plaster and all these different aspects. And the family was thrilled to have us there. The joy in their faces, in the children's faces, of seeing their home come in and form into something new was beautiful to see and was joyous to see. And I recognized from that trip that the joy that I have in seeing and being able to help others who, they can't do nothing for me, and nor do I have an expectation for them to do so, gives me a sense of happiness and joy that I don't know that I would get in my run-of-the-mill, if you will, and day to day. And so being able to do that with my church members and being able to travel and see such a very beautiful country was a joyous part of my year. But I also was still reflecting on what the beginning of the year had brought in the midst of that. As I continued this year, I started a new role. I've got a new role with the City of New Orleans, and not formally with Together New Orleans. And I say formally because the work, I believe, connects very greatly, right? As I started this new role, it was kind of, what will I be doing as the Director of Human Rights and Equity for the City of New Orleans? Sounds a little heavy to me. And so the question was, what would be available? What I've learned in the 3 months that I've been in the role, I started in August, is that there is a beauty of our city government, there's a beauty of our elected officials, and there's a beauty of us as community. And I use the analogy of a three-legged stool, right? And so if you have a stool and it has 3 legs, if it has 3 legs, we're doing really good. If it doesn't, you may not be doing so good if you're not sitting down, right? One of those legs is our city council, right? Those who we elect, those who are supposed to act, I say supposed to, who we keep accountable to act in our interests once we bring them forth. You know, that's our city council. That's one leg. Then we have another leg, which is our city government. And it's not just the mayor, but all the workers within the city, in City Hall, who are heads of departments, heads of things, who are working to execute the work in order to make our quality of life better, right, for the residents of this city. And so you've got that leg. Then you've got the leg of community, our voices. Voices to be able to say, hey, we need to work on that. Hey, this is not looking too good. While you're in your council chambers and while you're in your offices, I'm out here in community, and we got to do some changes. And so what I've seen is if those 3 legs aren't in existence on this stool, so whether one leg is cut short, whether one leg just doesn't exist at all, we are not seated and seating very well. We don't have a good foundation as a city. And so it's my goal, and with the help of community and the things that I've learned through community organizing, and with the help of organizations like Together New Orleans that CCU is part of, is that we can actually make that 3-legged stool operate for our best interests, so that we are a city that is not only thriving, but doing well and with our quality of life. And so if I have a moment of privilege, our office gets to do things like municipal IDs for people who have barriers with getting identification. That can include our immigrant and refugee community. That can include our re-entry community. That can include our homeless population. Right, so 2024, you're going to see municipal IDs coming out. And when you see that, make sure you go get your municipal ID, right? We get to do language access. We get to make sure that the languages in our city are recognized. We get to make sure that people can come to City Hall and be involved in civic life and not be a barrier to their language. We get to engage in our immigrant and refugee community in a welcoming city and being able to connect those dots. Most of all, we get to figure out this thing called equity in our city. And what does it mean for everyone to be thriving? What does it mean that when there's disparities in the data that we see, whether it's in housing or employment, or in wages, or in our ecosystem and our capitalistic system, our businesses, how do we get to meet the needs of those disparities in a way that feels beneficial to all? Because if one is surviving, we all are surviving. If one's not, it's lagging in other areas as well. And so that's that office in a nutshell. And so I've got a lot of hope that this position and this office will be able to do something here for our city that just isn't just meaningful for this office and for the administration, but is actually impactful for the city. So there's a lot of hope there. As I enter this 4th quarter, which is still to be determined, if I keep with the theme of peace, joy, and hope, I'll have a story about love. But we'll leave that for another day. What I want to take my remainder of my time with you is to talk on this focus and focus more on joy. Joy is something that I remember I was doing a vision board a few years ago when that was really popular. It's still popular, I guess it's still popular. And I put at the top joy. I knew I was happy. Happy was something that I could say I was. I'm happy. But I was like, this thing called joy. What about this thing called joy? I don't know if I have that. And so I put it as part of my vision board. I had some other stuff on there, but joy was the crux of it. And so that year was an invitation for me to find joy in every situation, every circumstance. What does it look like to find joy? And so I want to talk to you a little bit about that kind of revelation, but also some of those reflections. If you look at the definition of joy, I have the dictionary app on my phone, so I'm constantly looking up words. If we look at the definition of joy, it's an emotion of great delight or happiness caused by something exceptionally good or satisfying. It's a keen pleasure or elation. Another definition is a source or cause of keen pleasure or delight, something or someone greatly valued or appreciated. And another definition says the expression or display of a glad feeling. Reflecting on this definition and reflecting more on the year, whether you reflecting personally, in different contexts, there hasn't been a constant of joyful moments. There hasn't been a constant motion of delight or happiness that's happened this year, or something exceptionally good that has happened. If we look at the church, and here at CCUU, you get to do another pastoral search, right? Not exceptionally joyous, not exceptionally good, right? If we look at our jobs, maybe you haven't had a job all year. Maybe you're looking for a job. Maybe you're not liking your job. Maybe you're retired and the things that you're doing doesn't feel impactful. Not particularly joyous, not creating elation. If we look at our city, we're still talking about crime, and we have this threat of soft water intrusion. Thank God it didn't happen, but this threat of it, and all other things, you know, are getting here. I was like, golly, these potholes seem to just be getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but they're working on it. I'm inside, so they're working on it. You know, so not particularly joyous. You know, I don't know that I'm like, yes, I love New Orleans as my car goes into. In our state, we had an election, and we have a new governor and new leadership that is coming in January of 2024. And with a lot of unknowns, you know. We have nationally, internationally. I love the fact that there's going to be a lighting, right? There's this conflict happening, right? There's this war happening. There's innocent lives being lost. Fill in the blank. What are the things that haven't been particularly joyous in this year? They haven't all been joyous moments. But how do we reflect on, yes, there haven't been all joyous moments, but how do we end these next 21 days, ending it with a year of joy? How can we find that source of delight, that creating an emotion of great delight, that something or someone that's exceptionally good? In our readings that I read, a joyful heart is good medicine. All right, I don't know about you, but I don't like to take medicine. One, if I don't have to, so there's one. And two, I just don't want to anyway. But a joyful heart is good medicine. It's connecting to this word good. But a crushed spirit dries up bones. And in the Message version, which has another twist to it, a cheerful disposition is good for your health. Gloom and doom leave you bone tired. Right? No one wants to be tired. And so this concept of joy is a joy for medicine of the body, it's a medicine of the mind, and it's a medicine of the spirit. I think we definitely need joy. If we're not searching for it, if we're not looking for it, if we're not trying to find it, we will be affected not only in our minds, but our bodies, and ultimately our hearts. It's that medicine, but not just any medicine, it's that good medicine. And it's crucial for our well-being, for ourselves and others around us, and ultimately our community. Contrary to that, right, a crushed spirit and gloom and doom, to me this description is more than just a disappointment. Oh, I didn't get the job, or someone, my neighbor dog did some stuff on my yard. This is deeper than just a disappointment. When the scripture talks about spirit, it goes deep. When it's talking about the contrary to joy and the contrary to joy, I believe it's, if you don't have that joy, that's that good medicine. That crushed spirit is connected to our mental health. It's connected to our physical ailments in our body, and it's in connection to our interaction with others. And so to ignore joy, or to not intentionally go after it and see it, it doesn't give us that good medicine. And it doesn't give us this opportunity to not be, or to be free of gloom and doom and leave us bone tired, or for our spirits to be crushed. And so we have to think about that in a very intentional way, I believe. We are in a year that is concluding in 21 days. That's all we got in 2023. Crazy enough. I took some time to just kind of reflect, and every year I do a gratitude. And so the last day of the year, or maybe 2 days before, depending on what's going on, I'll sit down and do gratitudes. And I'll go through every single month of the year and say, what am I grateful for? What do I have gratitude for? And I'm always amazed how long my list gets every year, and how many things I can think of and reflect on. And so I want to invite you to take a moment in the next 21 days to reflect on this past year of 2023. And really reflect and look at it in this Advent type of lens. What was the hopes of this year? What was the peace that you received of this year? What's some of the love that you were able to share and receive this year? And what was some of the joys that happened in this year? And write those down. You may take a day and go by the water, or by the lake, or by a park, or by your favorite tree. Or you can maybe just stay in the comfort of your own home. You might just take an hour. You just be like, I'm just going to give this an hour. You might just take an hour. But take some time in the next 21 days and reflect on this year. And use that lens of Advent in order to really reflect and see what happened. And what comes up as gratitude. The invitation is also to think about, how can you make the next 21 days and find whatever joy makes you really happy? What's that exceptionally good thing that in the end of this year will really bring that joy to your heart, to your mind, and ultimately your spirit? I think that's my alarm. Oh gosh. Sorry about that. And in this next 21 days, being able to use that as a benchmark as obviously you enter 2024. And so I am thankful for this year. It's been a lot of ups and downs for me personally, but it's been a really good reflection point of transition. I've been able to see the peace of God. I've been able to see the hope in people. I've been able to see the joys of life and in others. And I've also been able to receive and give love in a supernatural way. And so my invitation is that you'll just do just that. I was glad to share that with you all today. And it wasn't just a sharing. It was good medicine. Thank you.
we thank you very much for coming and sharing your message with us. We will extinguish the chalice now, if you would like to join me in the order of service. We extinguish the chalice here, and light flow gently on our hearts. May the light of that as you lead the saints, may it guide your way until we are together again. For benediction, I have the words of Lisa Freeman. I have the words of Lisa Freeman. Let's read the words of Matt Meyer. May we go forward in purposeful rhythm, that we may give voice to the melody of our imagination, the music of our souls, and all the possibilities of a just world, as we might together create it. Amen. Maybe that was better. Go in peace, my friends, and let us share some coffee and refreshments in the fellowship hall. Our last hymn is number 327. You might want to sing for this, stand for this. 327. Joy by God.